I'm Mac Mitchell, and I am the Indigenous Engagement Advisor and Sales Representative for Stream-Flo Industries on the Wellhead Business Unit. Stream-Flo manufactures equipment for energy producers across Canada. Privately owned company by the McNeil family. We focus on wellheads, chokes, check valves, and manufacturing our own equipment out of the Edmonton facility. I love the sales aspect. I love that feeling of the competitiveness, but the Indigenous relations falls right into it, right? I get to almost have it's like a triangle. I've got producers, the service company, and Indigenous communities, and I'm able to work with all three on a constant base. And it's nice to be able to know what the customer's doing, but it's also nice to have the involvement in the community to understand what we can provide to both. There's no typical day. It's never the same. I have a personal goal where I try to phone, meet, or connect with 7 to 14 people a day, depending on the day, and go for a coffee. It could be revolved around equipment. It could be understanding what their needs are that day. It could be attending a conference. In corporate Calgary, a lot of the Indigenous events are held with conferences. So I will attend a lot of conferences. I started in the oil and gas, in the energy industry at a really young age. I started crisp age of 18. My passion was there. I could see it. I wanted to do it. I had this interest in downtown Calgary, what was happening down in these big buildings, and going to conferences and seeing some of the organizations throughout Calgary and how they were evolving over the years. Then I thought, if I'm going to continue in the industry, especially as a female, I'm going to need to know what's happening in the field, what's happening beyond these buildings downtown corporate Calgary. And I took a role with a small service company where I started traveling rig to rig, completion sites, drilling sites, power plants, any type of oil and gas site I saw, I stopped at. And I went from Fort St. John all the way down to Milk River and embraced every moment that I possibly could, met many, many field operators that were more than helpful. I almost feel like I light up. When I talk about the connections of people, that is my biggest passion. It's just one big network and this collaboration of people that come together. I talk a lot about my mentorship in the energy industry because I would not be where I am today without the many leaders. Probably my biggest mentor is my father, Terry Mitchell. He was a pioneer in working with Indigenous communities since the day I was born. I've watched him break barriers down and jump hurdles. He did it before it got cool. And he was speaking in front of people when they didn't want to hear it. And he just continued through. It didn't matter what company, what person was standing there. He spoke about it, and he spoke about it in a positive way, but he held with his integrity to the fullest. That's all you have in this industry. When you're working with Indigenous communities, it's not a cut, copy, and paste. It's not something you can Google or look on Wikipedia how to work with Indigenous communities. It's about building relationships. And each community is unique. And these relationships aren't built overnight. They're not built in 1 year. They're not built in 3 years. There's no timeline on it. So it takes a lifetime for you to build that trust and keep that integrity. And you got to follow through with your promises. Because I was raised in the industry by my father, I feel I had a little bit of an advantage because it was normal to me. So it was normal to work in a male-dominant industry, but I just normalized it. I didn't put an emphasis on it. Now that's changing. There's a lot of female supporters now. And it's exciting when you walk into a room and you see, and it's, okay, we got this. Like we got it. It's just working together. And I think that was the biggest thing, is I just worked together. Majority of my mentors were male, and I will forever be thankful for that. But that wasn't the reason why they were my mentors. It's a place where I feel proud of my heritage. It's exciting for me, and it makes me proud when I come to work every day because I get to connect with my culture every day. It's amazing. It's amazing. And the companies want to know more, and they want to learn, and they want to understand. And Stream-Flo especially, right? It's questions every day. How do we do better? How do we know when we're entering into this community? How can we help? Mark McNeil, President and CEO of Stream-Flo, and I led the West Totem Coal Lab in partnership with STARS Air Ambulance. It was a fundraiser to raise money for STARS helicopters. It's a totem pole that we actually brought in from Squamish First Nation that was on display in Bow Valley Square in downtown Calgary, and it was put up to auction, and it went for about $60,000, and that $60,000 went to Treaty 7 because we're in the Calgary region, Squamish First Nation because that is where the totem pole came from, and then to STARS Air Ambulance to actually be able to put a helicopter into a remote community. We brought all these different parties together, and we were able to work together. We were able to create something that can better our communities. There's so many opportunities within oil and gas where you can essentially pick any role. It's going online. It's creating a connection with somebody who might be connected in with one of the companies and finding that little bit of passion. You have to get your feet on the ground, and you have to learn, and you have to embrace, and you have to adapt, and you have to be innovative and different. And this is actually the most exciting times because there is innovation in all the areas: hydrogen, CCUS, geothermal, Indigenous relations. There's so many opportunities that you can take all these new ways of how our future is going and incorporating it into energy. And you can build your own career.